Hi, I am Dr. Ghulam Nabi. In the previous video, we were discussing about the geriatric management three parts. And my first point of discussion was the definition of geriatric patient. Who is geriatric? The second part of my discussion was the statistics, census of the world population, the American population, and the Japanese population. So my third part of discussion was the changes produced by aging in the human body on different systems: heart, respiration, kidney, liver, blood, and every organ of the body. And today we'll discuss about the fourth point of geriatric anesthesia, which is anesthesia management. So as you all know, our anesthesia management includes the preoperative assessment and medication, intraoperative management, and post-operative care. Preoperative evaluation and medication in geriatric patient, our main task is to determine the degree of severity of the organ disease and overall deterioration in the function. That means we have to quantify the power, functional capacity of the old man, and we want to know how much reserves he have. And the second point is preoperative assessment and preoperative management is the age. Per se, the age is not an indicator of the reserves, because the chronological age may not fit with the biological age. Some people are young at the age of 70 and some are old at the age of 50. So we cannot say on the figures of the numbers of the age, okay, this is this patient has no functional capacity or no power to manage the anesthesia. Precise assessment and perioperative management represent a greater challenge to the anesthesiologist. It's not an easy job to do the preoperative assessment. We should be meticulous. The powerful tool which we have to assess the functional capacity is by the metabolic equivalent of oxygen. Oxygen consumption was 70 kg, 40 years old man in resting state. If he has a MET of 7, means he is excellent. If it is equivalent to 4 to 7, it's a moderate physical power. And if it is less than 4 MET, means his functional capacity is poor to withstand the anesthesia and maybe surgery. Regarding pre-medication is controversial in old people, and nowadays even the system of pre-medication is modernized. So usually we use pre-medication to reduce anxiety and potentiate the effect of anesthetics, decrease secretions, occasionally relieve pain. So validity of these reasons is questioned in geriatric patients. 13 to 90% geriatric are confused and disoriented. When they are disoriented, they don't know where they are. They are out of time and place. The respiratory effect of sedatives may do more harm than good. One action that may contribute to anxiety immeasurably is the sympathetic reassurance by the anesthetist, which helps. Regarding anticholinergic pre-medication, nowadays this anticholinergic era is over. We are not using anticholinergic pre-medication I use ether in 1991, and there was a lot of secretion. We were bound to use anticholinergics. Glycoparol, nowadays we have very good drug which has replaced the atropine, as it does not cross the blood-brain barrier. It does not cause the central anticholinergic syndrome. and even it does not cause the more tachycardia. And it is better to be used with the reversal. We are using prostaglandin at the end of surgery, so it's better. Regarding narcotic pre-medication, narcotics may be used in painful condition, keeping in mind their kinetics and dynamics of the drug in geriatric patient. So local analgesic blocks are preferred. Now we have very good ultrasound guided technique to relieve the pain of different parts of the body, and even simple infiltration helps. Regarding induction of anesthesia, balanced anesthesia technique should be used. Patient should be amnesic, analgesic, sleeping, and relax to intubate, to induce. And this is the most unpredictable period of anesthetic management. There are no drugs or techniques suitable for all cases. Every case should be induced according to the need of the patient, not according to the book, according to our bookish knowledge. So we should take care of this issue. Whatever the drug are chosen, it is more important that it should be given slowly and cautiously, titrating their doses on clinical responses. Hypotension may be aggravated by hyperinflation of the rigid thoracic cage, and gentle ventilation, moderate head down tilt, and fluid infusion can be used to prevent serious hypotension after induction. And most of the anesthetists overdose the elderly people, because we depend on the MAC value for maintaining the anesthesia, and the machine assumes the patient is of 40 years old. Anesthesia machine do not know what other drugs we have been using, because MAC is related purely to the inhalation anesthetic agent. So one MAC we can use on young patient, but we have to titrate in the old people. The machine do not know what opioid you have used and what epidurals you have used to lower the MAC. So we should take care of this issue. Regarding laryngoscopy and intubation, there are many reasons of difficult intubation in geriatric patient. The main reasons are ankylosis of temporomandibular joint, restricted jaw movement, restricted movement of cervical spine, loose or broken dentures, edentulous patient. These are all causes of difficult intubation related to age. The marked increase in blood pressure of laryngoscopy and intubation can cause myocardial infarction, can cause ventricular failure, even vessel rupture. The incidence of MI in hypertensive geriatric is very, very high. Maintenance of anesthesia. We can maintain anesthesia with nitrous oxide as 50-50 or even 40-60, 60 and 40, 60% nitrous oxide and 40% oxygen, or 50-50. And we can use fentanyl according to the requirement of the patient. And we can use muscle relaxant like etracorium and cisatracorium for relaxation, which are non-organ dependent metabolism. Midazolam is a very beautiful drug which can be used in low doses in old people. The dose may be 0.01 to 0.1 milligram. For example, 70 kg old men, we can use 1 milligram, 2 milligram, or even 3 milligram depending on the duration of surgery and requirement of the patient. The beauty of midazolam is it can be reversed with flumazenil 500 microgram or half milligram, and to divided dose it can be given at the end of the surgery to reverse the effect of midazolam. Midazolam is a short-acting drug and has a short duration of action of 90 minutes, and the flumazenil has same duration of action, so there's no reoccurrence of the midazolam action. So the next point is hypocapnia should be avoided as it decreases the vital organ blood flow. fluid therapy, the principle of fluid therapy are same as the younger counterparts, and as you all know, 1.5 milligram per kg per hour or 4 to 1 formula, or 35 milligram 35 ml per kg per day, or maybe some more formula you can use, as for the adults. So pre-existing renal disease, most important risk factor in development of ATN. The patient already suffering from renal disease, they easily develop ATN. There is high relation of ATN, and mortality in under anesthesia for geriatric is 30% related to renal failure and 50% related to heart cardiovascular system. So we should take care of the cardiovascular system and renal system. And regarding ATN, the geriatric show inability to dilute and concentrate. They work on reserves usually. So we should take care of avoiding the hypervolemia and hypovolemia both. So there is increased secretion of antidiuretic hormone, renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system after stress of surgery, and can lead to decreased formation of urine in first 24 to 48 hours. Volume overload may precipitate acute left ventricular failure or hypertension in post-operative period, because under anesthesia we are using sedative drugs, hypnotics, and anesthetic agent, and volume may be compensated. When the anesthesia is over, this hypervolemia can cause cardiovascular problem or even the pulmonary edema. So left ventricular failure or hypertension in the post-operative period may occur because of the generous uses of volume overload during anesthesia. And converse to this, same left ventricle is less tolerant to decrease in periload. That is to maintain cardiac output. It needs volume, adequate volumes, normovolemic. Patient should be kept normovolemic. Urine output is the best way to assess renal function during surgery and post-operative period. So passing a catheter is recommended in moderate surgical cases, maybe 2 hours. So urine flows of 0.5 to 1 ml per kg per hour are desirable. Post-operative care, one thing I want to discuss is the passing the arterial line. We should be free to think, okay, we should pass the arterial line in geriatrics, maybe of short duration of surgery. It helps to manage. And the post-operative period, in the post-operative period can be of extreme blood pressure instability and other complications like arousal, shivering, pain, hypoxia, hypercarbia, hypothermia, and can contribute to hypertension. These all can cause hypertension. Monitoring and vigilance should be maintained during this period to diagnose and treat these complications. Anesthesia should be available in the post-operative period to anticipate these blood pressure changes. Reinfarction is common, seen on third day. So post-operative care in ICU may be extended for more than 3 days in high-risk cases. Elderly take longer to emerge than younger patients. The elderly take longer for emergence. The reason may be lower make-awake and high pain threshold. Hypothermia is more common. Emergency hypertension treated as light general anesthesia, and reluctance to turn off vaporizer. This is common occurrence. When we turn off the vaporizer, blood pressure go high, and we don't want to decrease the turn off the vaporizer, reduce the concentration of anesthesia. There are alarming rise in blood pressures. What I am using and what I recommend is to use the propofol bolus, maybe 1 milligram per kg or even less than that, to manage the depth of anesthesia and turn off the vaporizer. When the patient starts breathing, we can extubate the patient. So I do like this. Longer duration of action of drug in the elderly the drugs which we consider as the short-acting drugs may be longer duration. This may be the main reason of delayed recovery or delayed emergence from the anesthesia. And synergistic drug interaction. As when we are using fentanyl, like fentanyl, midazolam, they are synergistic drug which can increase the duration of sedation. And post-operative analgesia should be taken care. And post-operative delirium is a very hot topic nowadays on the international forums to discuss. So post-operative delirium is in 5 to 50% cases. It's very high incidence that appears on post-operative days period. It may be due to cellular protein altered by potent inhalation agents. It could be due to central anticholinergic insufficiency. It could be due to macroemboli, pre-existing subclinical dementia, hypoxia, fever, infection, UTI, electrolyte abnormalities, anemia, pain, sleep deprivation, unfamiliar environment. Thank you very much. I will present inshallah very soon another good topic. Bye bye.